boy, all I have to say after this week's episode of Solo Leveling is hot damn. Next week can't come soon enough. The fact that they have me this excited, and best of all, that episode, next week's episode, lands on my birthday. I'm about to get the greatest birthday present in general imaginable. Like that's how it's feeling. I'm just so excited. Like, I'm not gonna say the entirety of the episode was the craziest production we've seen. Up until our boys started zipping around like a rogue, weakening all of the other orcs, the production was fine. But here's the thing, Solo Leveling, when it's fine in terms of production, is better than a lot of shows at their best production. So I'm not saying it was bad, it's just by Solo Leveling standards, like, you're not gonna be like, damn, that's the craziest thing. But there was a turning point in this episode where the production got cranked up from about 4 to about a 7 or an 8. And it changed everything. So our boy does end up going into a dungeon, just not the one we thought. And he's, just kind of the dude carrying the backpack, just making sure he can collect some stuff. But apparently a single one of these orcs would normally be hard for like a B rank. So like them getting swarmed by a couple dozen is, it's pretty insane. And our boy, when things were about to hit the fan, zips around cloaked out of his mind. And at one point, an orc skull, so it gets coiled so intensely that the skull rips out of connected to the body and the spine with it. It was at that moment that Solo Leveling decided they were going to cook, and cook they did. We end the episode with them trapped in a dungeon that they expect no one's getting out alive. They hope for Jin Woo's sake, he can escape, because then at the very least, people's wills and, the extra strike teams will know what to do. But the idea that we have a boss that says, hey, here is your two options. You fight the 50 in front of you and die, or you can die fighting me. They are cooking. And it is going to be so freaking fun next week. Of course, if you want to support my work and see my full thoughts to this greatness, we do got the Patreon. We got those full live reactions available exclusively over there if you're so interested. So, we know our boy is getting a promotion, but currently, yes, he isn't exposed as the S rank just yet. So, it's kind of funny because what's most likely going to happen is, once this is all said and done, hopefully everyone makes it out alive. I mean, I assume a rise is going to be said and we're going to have a goddamn army just immediately swarming. It's going to be very funny when, like, they're super baffled and then, like, a day or two later it's announced this man's S rank, because that's probably how they're going to go about this. But it's funny because he still has the ability, as it stands, to blend in a little bit. But I think my favorite point in this episode, other than a freaking skull being ripped out of a body, spine included, was the fact that the one mage knew what he did. So when it's all said and done, right, they're like, hey, did you do this? Did you do this? It's like, I wouldn't even be able to do that if I wanted to. And they're all acting confused. They're like, well, let's just take the W. Who knows what happened, but we'll move on. And the one girl starts talking like, he must think we're idiots or fools, or how low must he think of us? And I'm like, oh, she's probably saying this because he probably assumes like they should have been able to do better. No, it's like, I knew what he did. I'm not going to say anything. He must have his reasons, but if you're surrounded by a bunch of mages, you can't think you're going to actually remain as hidden as you once. And I was like, oh, okay. So at least one character is going to be like, psst, we're going to die here. Do you want to do something like you did last time? It's going to be fun to see what happens. I assume he's going to hold back for a bit, but yeah, like they're going to need help pronto. And I really hope we get to see a shocked reaction. Because it's not like this will be the first time he summoned a damn army in front of people. He did it in the snowy forest against the elves, so might as well see. Let's hope for his sake, though, if he does try to end up grabbing another body for his army, if it doesn't go according to plan, he's not too salty and drained because, he obviously had performance issues the last time he tried to do it with a boss. Just a fun episode. It's like, I remember around episode 2 or something, I was like, man, it's feeling like we're going to get action like almost every episode this season. And I had a couple people say, like, based on pacing and how they're structuring it, it's probably going to have a fight every episode. And I thought, okay, but like a couple of the fights are going to be pretty small. But like, no, all the action we've seen in 5 episodes has been really, really enjoyable. Even the shortest pieces of action just have been thought out. And I think because we ended on a fairly fun cliffhanger last week, an S-rank hunter being like, hey boss man, what are you doing? I like that she was caught by surprise too, because when she approached, he already had his weapon in his hand. And at one point, obviously she's talking to him, looking at his face, and when she glances back down, there's no weapon. And she's confused, right? Because this man literally has an inventory system, right? So it's like there's a lot of things that would be, it's interesting putting yourself in their shoes, being like, why did things just disappear? Or why did this happen? The weirdest thing is apparently she hates the smells of hunters. And our boy's smelling like a flower field. She was huffing him. She was 1 or 2 steps away from getting on her knees and pleasing him. Like, for whatever reason, the player, aka Jin Woo, is apparently a very pleasant smell compared to the other hunters. Interesting, to say the least, and I guess add him to the harem. I don't know. Like, well done, Jin Woo. Everyone is going to be very envious of you. But man, like, the great thing about solo leveling to me is when you have episodes like these, you'll have more viewers. You'll have more discussions, whether it's Reddit threads, Twitter threads, videos, whatever it is. But you can go back and look at last week's video, right? Not as crazy viewed as a lot of these, but these videos will probably get more because like, oh, it was a really big action episode. But that's not what makes solo leveling great. It's honestly the world building and the characterization, and that's, like, I would say I enjoyed last week even more than this one, just because I got more of that characterization. But every episode of solo leveling clicks with me. It hits because it ain't just a power fantasy. It does have elements of it in terms of, you know, our boys scaling the system, but they legitimately are doing good with the world building and the characterization and the deeper stories besides just boy needs money, boy fights. But to be fair, he's probably going to make a decent amount because he only needed 1 day of work with the mining. He did an extra day of work and also was getting bonuses for going into this dungeon. He's got some extra pocket money, that's for damn sure, but it will be interesting to see where they go because my prediction is he starts off trying to act like he's going to do nothing. Someone's going to either die or come close to it. I mean, someone lost an arm. I mean, granted, they got to it quick enough. But then we're going to hear those amazing words. Arise, my bitches. Might have added an extra couple there, but, you know, it's the feeling that it gives. And it's going to be very interesting to see the reaction. Because I doubt he can get away with just cloaking himself. Like, he'll probably try that, but that's not going to be enough. Like, the big boss and the 200, 300 orcs that are there, yeah, they ain't gonna sit by and say, yeah, we're not gonna brutally slaughter you. It's kind of frightening having a boss that's like, hey, I want to have fun with my prey. You can die from my minions, or you can die from my hammer. It's like, oh, okay. It's going to be great next week. You let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think? Your favorite moment, if you got any. I definitely love that skull ripping moment. I was like, that's metal as hell. But I also really love the fact that someone caught on already to the fact that he wasn't as suspicious, you know, sly as he once thought. But props to our boy. He did try at the very least. You let me know your thoughts down below, though. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Pranay Sumshwar, Darian Smith, Rosver Mullins, Diedrich Vaughn, and we also have Davelin. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you'll have a good one.